I'm here with polymer clay artist Christie Friesen. Welcome, Christie.
Hi, Katie.
So
thanks.
happy to have you. And let's take a look at this bracelet. This is beautiful.
It's great fun.
It's super durable, right?
It is, actually. You probably don't want to go bonking people on the head with it, but beyond that, it is very, very wearable.
All right. So how do you get started? Because this is simple techniques, or advanced technique, but simple to put together?
It's actually both. So, you know, it looks complicated, but it really is quite simple.
Oh, my favorite.
So, yeah. And polymer clay is such a simple medium to work with anyway. So on this one, we're going to have fun with chaos. Are you ready for that?
Ready.
Great. Chaos it is. I've got 3 colors of green, and all I'm going to do is run them through the pasta machine. Nothing really dramatic. It's very soft clay, so minimal of conditioning.
And you just sliced off the ends of your
Yep, just
clay.
ran it right through. And as you can tell, that makes a nice flat sheet. All I'm going to do is fold it and rip it and stick it right back through again. No rhyme or reason, which is always fun. And you do this a couple different times. You keep rolling and folding until you've got a stack that's got all kinds of layers to it. And then when you use your cutting blade to cut that open, you'll see what a fun little mix of things is in there. Striations, baby. And really, it's a great way to get out any of the day's frustrations. So once you've made this little mix of striations, we're going to take a cutting blade. Remember, sharp end away from your arteries, and just slice that right down. And you've got, oops, cutting the other one here. Good. We'll do that later. Then you've got a nice little chunk here of striations, and I just laid these down in a nice long row. You can see what I've got there, overlapping. Again, no rhyme or reason, just smashing it through. Then you get to put this through the pasta machine. Once you run that through the pasta machine, you have a very long, narrow, skinny, flattened striation, as you can tell. I just rip this in half and put one half on top of the other. And it's that simple. Then when you run that through the pasta machine, you get a nice, long, flattened piece, right? And then you're just going to use this blank metal cuff. And I've pre-ripped this so it's about the right size, but the way you measure is you just take your cuff and you kind of roll it over the surface. Very precise rolling. Rip off the end. And then this is the tricky part. Instead of just rolling it on the outside and having all that gap on the inside where it's going to be rough on your wrist, I've actually wants to put this on the inside and roll it from the inside out. So you're just going to kind of open this up, press it in place. It looks harder than it is. It just kind of pushes against the metal, grabs to the metal nicely. Try to make sure it's kind of even in there, but don't sweat it. Flap over those ends. So see, now it's grabbing there, and all you need to do from that point is just start pushing this over this way. Don't worry about rips. It all heals itself very nicely, and you just keep going all the way around. And with any luck, you end up with a nicely
So you just keep mushing it together.
Keep mushing and mushing. And when you get to those ends, in fact, let's move that mush out of the way. When you get to those ends, you're just going to pinch and pull. And I've kind of made them look sort of like leaf ends there.
Yes, you have.
Doesn't that look nice?
Yes, it does.
It's like I know what I'm doing, huh?
Yes.
All right, so once you've got that, you're ready for the orchid. That's super duper simple. You're going to do the same chaotic blend here. So I've got this little bit of clay here, and any colors that amuse you. Orchids are everything. So whatever color you like to use, I've just used some pinks and purples. And I've done the same thing. Run it through the pasta machine, rip it, stack it, that kind of thing. And again, when you cut it open,
it's so pretty.
See, I've got all those little nice slices. And again, no rhyme and reason, so every one can be different. And chop it up with your cutting blade until you have just a little piece of it. And you can kind of see that this is already sort of petal shaped. So what I'm doing is touching it all over. Fingerprints are your friend. And you're going to pull until you sort of form this into this petal shape. Then I'm going to take this same clay, the same style clay, but now I'm just using white and pink. Just using some colors in here, but not quite as dramatic. Doing the ripping and cutting, and then when you cut it open, you see you've got a nice, softer blend.
Yeah.
And when you make, again, the same sort of petals from there, you see how the two complement each other, but there's some contrast there. Now there's a little trick with that main flower on the bottom, main petal on the bottom. It's a little bit bigger, a little bit more showy. You know, it's an orchid thing. So I'm going to take this thicker one and I'm going to push it so that I've got a bit of a teardrop shape here instead of my pointy leaf look. And get my thumb in there, and I'm going to make this into a spoon, like the kind you'd eat Chinese soup with. So just like a nice curved business with your fingers there. And then you just pinch it a little bit so you get a little bit of ruffle on there. And so you got real orchid look. So that, now you've got all your pieces. That will be the last bit we need to make the cuff come together. So you've got your wrapped cuff, you got all these petals. Let's put them together. I've got the orchid kind of in the center of the cuff, but you don't want it dead center because that's kind of boring. You always want to be a little off kilter. So I'm going to put the first one there, and then I'm going to match these other colors here. So I've got the main color, then those two auxiliary colors.
It really gives it a lot of dimension too.
Doesn't it? And all those blends and things are just such fun.
Good.
Now we've got the third one here, or the fourth one, if I can count. And you notice how I'm kind of going over the edge of the cuff like that? When you have things off over the edge, then that's going to be a little bit more likely to get bonked around. So I'm actually going to bend that a bit so it's a bit more durable because you've got the cuff kind of giving it some strength.
So bring it more in line a little bit.
And so this is what I've got, so that I've got 3 and 3.
That looks
just like
great.
That. Isn't that great fun?
Yes.
And there's 2 other little tricks now. This by itself, of course, awesome. But, you know, more awesome, more better. So we're going to take this and just twist it a little bit. A lot of orchids have that twisty thing going on. That's how you can tell they're showy. So we've got that little bit there. So again, a bit more orchidy. And then I'm just going to use a stick pearl with a head pin in it. And I think I've got one already made up. It's probably wanted. There it is. So we've got just a little stick pearl. I've put a silver head pin with a little ball on the tip. And you notice how I've made a little hook in the end.
Yes.
The hook lets it embed into the clay so that after it's baked, it's locked in there and it won't come out.
Good.
And you just stick that right in the center. Obviously, you don't want to go straight down because you run into metal bracelet and that's silly. So just kind of put it on an angle, press that in, and voila, baby.
And there you
Ready
go.
to rock and roll.
Now, do you need to do anything special when you bake this?
Actually, that's a great question. And if you put this in the oven just like this and you lay it down on your flat surface, it's going to get shiny or whatever else. So you make a nice little nest out of toilet paper. And you just tuck this in its little toilet paper nest. You can put some toilet paper in the cuff here to keep it from bobbling around. Pop it right in the oven. You won't have any trouble. Unless you've got toilet paper up into all the elements, you're not going to have any problem with any kind of danger of burning. So
yeah. So then you put the toilet paper nest with the bracelet in it on a tray, right?
Exactly.
And then put it in the oven.
Put it in the oven and let it bake according to manufacturer's instructions, and you are good to go.
Oh, it's so pretty, and I love the dimensionality, and it looks painted.
It really does,
and
doesn't it?
You can use the colors of the clay for that.
And you can match one with every outfit.
I love it. Thank you so much,
You're
Christie.
welcome.
We will be right back.